Less than 24 hours after Biden's tone-deaf and hectoring speech about the Afghan withdrawal, his top military leaders decided to further squander what's left of their credibility. Today, they came off like junior members of the White House comms team, saying anything to prop up the commander-in-chief who didn't fire them. Well, they bombed, but not in the way we want the military to bomb. We have 13 American troops dead, hundreds of our fellow citizens stuck in enemy territory, and an emboldened Taliban and other terrorists. Any rational person knows this was a humiliating failure. And the honorable thing to have done was to admit you didn't measure up and tender your resignation. But instead, like clockwork, Secretary Lloyd Austin and Chairman Mark Milley were desperately trying to hang on to their jobs by mouthing whatever would please Biden's political team.
We have just concluded the largest air evacuation of civilians in American history. It was heroic. It was historic. And I hope that all Americans will unite to thank our service members for their courage and their compassion.
Their talent, their efforts have carried this fight day and night. I am certain of. For any soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine, and their family, your service mattered, and it was not in vain.
Well, instead of giving us a detailed military analysis of what occurred, they regurgitated the same pablum that the White House comms team has been giving us for days. As if anyone ever doubted the heroism of our troops. Far from it. So how odious to use the bravery of America's servicemen as a shield against blame and accountability for themselves. For them, it's never the right time to level with the American people.
There hasn't been a single operation that I've ever been involved in where we didn't discover that there's something that we could have done better or more efficiently or more effectively. But I want to take the time to do it the right way, and so we'll do that in the days ahead.
Well, it's always, we'll do it later. Well, to truly value the sacrifice of our troops, we must demand the truth from our government officials. The families of the fallen deserve nothing less than a full accounting. Last night, Paula Knaus, whose son Ryan was one of the 13 killed at the Kabul airport last Thursday, had a message for President Biden.
Ryan and all the men and women in uniform stand and they take orders and they do their responsibilities and they face the consequences of not doing that. We're in Congress. We're in our nation's capital. Who will stand up and say, I messed up? I am responsible. Who will do that?
Change. Imagine if this scenario were playing out under President Trump. The Democrats and the media would be tag-teaming the administration at every turn. Instead, they circle the wagons and come across as fanboys and girls.
What do you see in the country, with troops, with veterans, that makes you feel, it's a rare thing, that makes you feel these messages must continue? General Milley, I was very struck you used the words pain and anger. Can you help people understand that? Where does your pain and anger come from? If you could both answer your views on this.
Is she kidding me? And reporters let Milley get away with reframing the entire objective of the war in Afghanistan.
Those soldiers, sailors, and Marines gave their lives so that others may live free. They literally gave their tomorrows for the tomorrows of people they never knew. Those 124,000, they will now live in freedom because of American blood shed on their behalf.
Now, try putting that in the military recruiting pamphlets. Join the Army so you can die for other people's freedom when we've lost a war. The fact is, our troops don't sign up for that at all. They signed up to defend their homeland, defend their family, defend their friends, to defend our freedom, not to pass out water bottles when terrorists were mixing in with the crowd. Their incompetent military leadership let them be sitting ducks when officials knew an attack on that airport was imminent. They needed real military leaders to protect them, but instead, they got the equivalent of second-rate political hacks. Remember, it was just a few months ago that our commander-in-chief and his top military brass were focused on really important stuff like white rage and climate change, when they should have been gaming out all possible Afghanistan scenarios. And as if to throw acid on an open sore, these same foolish men have moved on to rewriting our immigration laws, specifically on the refugee question and who deserves special immigrant visas. Now, remember, Trump had smartly reduced the number of refugees allowed into the country. Well, now Defense Secretary Austin wants to blow that all up.
The SIV program is obviously not designed to accommodate what we just did in evacuating, over 100,000 people. And so perhaps this program should be looked at going forward. Secretary Blinken and the State Department worked hard early on to shorten the timeline that it takes to work your way through that process.
Okay, here's an idea. We need a different type of general. We want generals who can actually win wars, not ones who mislead Congress for years about the fitness of the Afghan army and the likelihood of victory. How dare they try to lecture us about how many Afghans or non-Afghans that the taxpayers here should have to support when they couldn't support the armed forces who depended on them? The same guys who cut corners in our hasty withdrawal now argue that we should essentially cut corners again, this time to speed up the resettlement and vetting of Afghans? How do we know who helped there do what? And how do we know who's telling the truth here? Because some NGO vouches for some person that... You see where this is going. There are literally millions of people in Afghanistan who could be considered at risk. Should they all come? You think maybe Congress should get involved here? We should just let Austin make all the decisions. This is an administration, after all, that believes the Taliban will actually help us, or that China cares about stuff like climate change, or that Europe's going to help us with China. They're naive dupes and have been wrong about everything, and we have zero reason to believe that they can adequately and efficiently vet anyone. Remember, when the left used to care about a president, by the way, politicizing the military? I do.
I think the military leadership has to make really clear that they're not there to be politicized by this or any other president.
The optics are incredibly poor that the military is somehow turning against the American public.
The whole idea of federal agents being able to act with integrity is undercut by any suggestion that you're going to politicize them in this way.
Who's politicizing the military now? What's really tragic here is that the U.S. is in danger from terrorism and a rapacious and aggressive China. And now, more than at any time, I think, since the Cold War, we need competent and committed military leaders who can help protect us and our freedoms from our enemies. Biden tells us that the decision to handle the withdrawal was unanimous. All his military advisors agreed. Well, if that's the case, really, that's the case, which I don't believe, they all need to be fired. I see zero reason to believe, given what we've seen in these last few months, that our military, as currently constituted, led by these men, can defeat China anywhere at any time. And I was thinking about this today. Do we really think like General MacArthur or Bradley or Marshall or Eisenhower would have put up for a second with the ineptitude of Milley, Austin, and CENTCOM Commander McKenzie? Of course not. I think if Austin had been in charge of the Incheon landing, North Korea would have control of the entire Korean peninsula at this point. And I think if Reagan had asked Milley to save Grenada, Grenada would have been in Cuban hands today. Putin is thinking, okay, if these clowns had been in charge of the Cold War, well, he'd be running the whole world by now. The point here isn't just about Afghanistan. We need, and our troops deserve, a functional military led by competent men and women to take on the biggest threats we face. China's committing genocide, threatening our military dominance everywhere. And if Millie and Austin can't figure out how to secure an airport, how on earth are they going to secure Taiwan? And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.